Just returned home from Clippers Media Day, and now we get to unpack everything. Welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland.
Here we go, Clips fans.
Clippers Talk with Adam Osland. After every game, download every pod. Clippers Talk's the name. He's a basketball talking golden god.
New episodes after every game on demand.
Follow Clippers Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Clippers.
Good to be with you guys. I will tweet out that we have returned. Back home from Media Day reaction at Follow Adam A is where you can find me on X. Coming up on the show, Grant Mona will be here in just a little bit, but we have to start, of course, by addressing the elephant in the room. Lawrence Frank did so. We will play that, react to what he said regarding the NBA's investigation here. Let me share my screen with you guys. Here was Lawrence Frank just hours ago at Clippers Media Day.
Hey everybody, welcome to Media Day today. We're thrilled to have you all here. Lawrence is going to open up with a statement, and then we'll get into Q&As. When we're doing the Q&A portion, please wait for the microphone from our man Matt, and please state your name and affiliation, and we'll go through after that.
There's our friend Chris Wallace.
Take it away, Lawrence.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. Before we get started, I just we lost another legend, another giant in Coach George Raveling. We lost Jerry the year before. George is one of the most important men of his generation. So again, condolences to his family. His teachings will live with us for a long time. Well, welcome. We're actually very excited to get started tomorrow. Training camp is where we start to build the foundation of our season, and it's about establishing the right habits day in and day out. Our players have been working very hard this off-season, and now it's about competing, growing together, and making the most out of every opportunity. It's cliche-ish, but it's true. Every practice, every walkthrough, every film session, every player development session, every lifting session is an opportunity to get a little bit better. We're a deep team with a lot of proven players 1 through 11 and reinforcements at every position. This summer, we were able to add size, athleticism, and shooting in the front court, plus playmaking, ball handling, and shooting in the back court. We're super excited to watch this group grow together. Now, I'm not naive. I know there are a lot of questions about our organization. I wish I could answer them all. But out of respect to the NBA investigation, I can't. What I can do is answer what I'm able to share. I will say this. We are glad there's an investigation, and we welcome it. We appreciate that there'll be a clear-eyed look at these allegations, and we're eager for the truth to come out. The assumptions and conclusions that have been made are disappointing and upsetting, and we expect the investigation will show that these allegations are wrong. I'm hurt for Steve. He's one of the best people and most honorable people I've ever met. He does things the right way for the right reasons. And he constantly reminds us to stay on the right side of the rules. I'm also hurt for our players, our staff, and fans. And on a larger level, as I've learned more about this over the past month, I feel bad for all the people who were defrauded by this individual. Let's not forget, this was a case of widespread fraud, and there were a lot of different victims. The salary cap governs everything we do. Our mission every day is to build the best team we can under the constraints of the cap. There is no gray area. There are no secret shortcuts. It's clear what we are and are not allowed to do. The accusations made against us are serious, and they don't line up with my experience, my reality. We will cooperate with this investigation and let this process play out. But we are eager for the whole truth, the whole picture, to be revealed. We're very confident in what it will show. Questions?
Great, so please, hold on. Please raise your hand. We have only one microphone, so if you have a question, raise your hand, and when we come to you, please state your name and organization.
Chris Wallace, Media Relations.
First hand up.
David Pingalore, KTLA. Lawrence, I've known you for a long time, and how do you the optics don't look good, but how do you work through this at this point as the season starts?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of inferences and insinuations, Ping. Obviously, I can't comment on that. But we do look forward to providing the facts to the league so they can see the entire picture, which I think is critical. We feel very, very confident we're on the right side of this, and we'll just focus on what we can control and trust the investigative process.
Thanks, Lawrence.
I like that. Russo writes.
Excellent. Hey, you said I had to say it.
See what he did there?
Yeah, good plug. And I just amplified it.
Thank you.
There was a jump cut there. I want to make sure we got everything here with Lawrence Frank. That was a little bit concerning. Let me see if I can find another video of Lawrence Frank today at Media Day. Because I thought I can go to my own at some point here if I have to. I wanted to see if the Clippers official account had it up yet. Let me check on that. They'd obviously have the best quality on their YouTube account, but that could take some time. Yeah, I don't see it up here yet. I don't think that's the full thing. Do I have to go to my own? I guess I have to promote myself here some more. So shameless. I'll get to it here. Give me a second, guys. Tuca, get off me. All right. I know I got it all. We streamed the entire thing, 2 hours and 49 minutes. Here you
Our
go.
mission every day is to build the best team we can under the constraints of the CAF. There is no gray area. There are no secret shortcuts. It's clear what we are and are not allowed to do. The accusations made against us are serious, and they don't line up with my experience, my reality. We will cooperate with this investigation. We do look forward to providing the facts to the league so they can see the entire picture, which I think is critical. We feel very, very confident we're on the right side of this, and we'll just focus on what we can control and trust the investigative process.
Hey, Lawrence, BJ Matthews of the Sporting Tribune. How you doing?
Where you at?
Over here.
Oh, when you say over here, that's even challenging. Yeah.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good.
Ending the season how it ended last year, what did you and Coach Ty Lue talk about as far as roster construction? And did you guys feel like you actually added those voids in with the shooting, with the offensive play, defensive play? What are those things that you guys addressed going into this season?
Yeah, I think we look at the season, you have to do a full autopsy of it. Typically when you lose, and we lost in the first round, there's so much of a focus on what just happened. And I think the benefit of having months to kind of emotionally kind of unwind a little bit and then literally go through every single game. The regular season was something that we were very proud of. And I give a great deal of credit to the guys on the team.
Okay, I
talked
see.
a lot about James, but Norm and Zoo were huge.
So the video I was playing earlier, I will go back to because the reason it was chopped up that way is to just get Lawrence Frank's reaction concerning the allegations in the NBA investigation. So my apologies to Hoop Jab. They had exactly what I was looking for the first time. We're back.
The right way for the right reasons. And he constantly reminds us to stay on the right side of the rules. I'm also hurt for our players, our staff, to be revealed.
David Pingalore, KTLA. Lawrence, I've known you for a long time, and how do you the optics don't look good, but how do you work through this at this point as the season starts?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of inferences and insinuations, Ping. Obviously, I can't comment on that. But we do look forward to providing the facts to the league so they can see the entire picture, which I think is critical. we feel very, very confident we're on the right side of this, and we'll just focus on what we can control and trust the investigative process.
Lawrence.
I like that. Russo writes.
I'm sorry. Hey, you sort of had to say it.
See what he did there?
Russo writes.
Good plug. And I just amplified it.
Thank you. I know you can't discuss the ongoing investigation, but how do you see it impacting the players? Is it something that can impact the group as they get ready for the season to unfold, or is that just something you think they'll just take in stride?
Yeah, I think one is you acknowledge it. I mean, there's no sense with it. And then, you know, they know that we're very confident that we're on the right side of things. And then you just focus on what you can control. I mean, if you're looking for a distraction, you can find one, right? I think what makes athletes so special is their ability just to focus on things they can control. They have great pride in being Clippers. So obviously they don't want to hear any disparaging, remarks, allegations, accusations. Yet at the same time, they're focused on playing, competing, and bringing their best.
Lawrence, this is Ramona Shelburne with ESPN. Just following up on the NBA investigation of this situation, I'll ask you the same thing I asked Steve, which was, has Dennis Robinson, Kawhi's uncle, ever asked for any extra benefits that wouldn't be allowable under the NBA salary cap directly to you? There's been a lot coming out about his asks.
Yeah, look, Dennis knows the rules, Kawhi knows the rules, Mitch Frankel knows the rules, and we know the rules.
Is that a yes or a no, though?
Yes, we all know the rules.
Lawrence, Chris Manick, Sports Illustrated.
What's up, Chris?
You said earlier you're very confident that the team is going to wind up on the right side of things with this Kawhi investigation. I guess I'm wondering, what's given you that confidence over the last few weeks? And have you learned anything about why Kawhi would take $7 million per year from a company to endorse something he never actually endorsed?
Yeah, I think the confidence breeds, Chris, is just seeing the entire truth and knowing the entire truth. I can't comment just due to the investigation of anything related to that. And, but I will say, which, I think everyone gets, is that endorsement contracts are completely separate than player contracts. So what a player makes, whether it's Kawhi or any of our other players' endorsement contracts, I have no idea. But the confidence is breeding just from, once the league sees the entire truth, we feel very confident.
Let's get ready.
All right, so that was the extent of the investigation talk with Lawrence Frank. Now let's hear from Kawhi Leonard, and then we'll bring in Grant Mona, who I believe is still at Intuit Dome, covers the Clippers for the Sporting Tribune here. Appreciate you guys putting up with the shoddy technical issues, mostly self-inflicted by
Raise your hand if you have questions.
Kawhi, Joe Marizano with Clutch Points. Good to see you again. Just curious, there's been a lot of talk around you and the Clippers NBA investigation last month. Just curious how you're kind of approaching this training camp and kind of not letting that, get in the way, distract you or anything like that.
Oh, I mean, it's easy for me. I don't read headlines or do conspiracies, theories, or anything like that. So, it's about the season and what we got ahead of us right now. And tomorrow we'll start camp and see what we got.
Do you have any reaction or statement regarding some of the things that have been alleged over the last month?
No. The NBA is going to do their job. None of us did no wrongdoing. That's it. We invite the investigations. It's not going to be a distraction for me or the rest of the team.
Hi, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. What is your understanding of the endorsement deal that you had with the company that's been talked to Aspiration, and did you perform any services for them?
When you say understanding, what do you mean?
Like of the contract you signed, how much money you were to receive, what you were supposed to perform for those services?
I understand that full contract and the services that I had to do. Like I said, I don't deal with the conspiracies or the clickbait analyst or journalism that's going on. So that's what it is.
Well, I think the allegation was that you didn't perform any services for them. Is that accurate, or did you do
I don't
things for
think
them?
it's accurate, but it's old. This is all new to you guys. The company went bankrupt a while ago, so we already knew this was going to happen. So
You were named as like the largest creditor in the bankruptcy filing, right? Did you actually get the money that was owed to you in the contract, or?
No, but the company went belly up. It was Friday, as everybody knows. If you want any more questions or more details about that company, you need to ask the owner or whoever else is involved in the fraud that went on.
Right. I think they said they owed you $7 million or something, right?
I'm not sure. I gotta look back at the books, but no, it's more than that for sure.
Do you have any idea of how much you actually made on that?
No, it was like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Kawhi, Lauren Rosen with FanDuel. I remember how much it meant to you to go into the playoffs healthy last season. Lawrence was just talking about the fact that you were able to have a healthy off season as well. What did that mean to you, and how does it change the way that you're able to approach a regular season with health?
It was just exciting to be in the off season, not going through rehab, so I was able to push my body to the limit of what I wanted to do without repercussions or dealing with a therapist or anything. So I mean, that was great for me. Able to walk around and just enjoy my summer.
Kawhi, you said heading into last season, back here, Adam Moslin with Clippers Radio, you said heading into last season your goal was to come out of it healthy. You were able to achieve that. Do you have a different goal or a new goal heading into this season you can share with us?
No, I mean this year is just the same thing that I come in the year, just try to win a championship, do the best I can.
That was the answer I was looking for from Kawhi there. I wanted to see if the goal is to win a championship. This time last year it was just getting out of the season healthy. Now it's the goal is to win a championship.
Back here, Adam Moslin with Clippers Radio, you said heading into last season your goal was to come out of it healthy. You were able to achieve that. Do you have a different goal or a new goal heading into this season you can share with us?
No, I mean this year is just the same thing that I come in the year, just try to win a championship, do the best I can, try to play as many games as possible, and just go from there. We'll see what we have. We got some new players on our team this year, see what they can bring us, and see if we can make something special out of them.
How you doing, Kawhi? Demetrius Beaver with Fanny TV. Just speaking of those new players, Bradley Beal and John Collins, can you just speak on those additions added to the team to see how's everything going with those?
Yeah, I mean, with Bill, everybody knows who he is. He's a 3-level scorer. Can also pass the basketball. He's going to help out a lot by being a ball handler, another decision maker on the floor, spreading the defense out. And John, same thing, could spread the defense out, guarded a lot for Utah Jazz the last few years, and athletic, could run and jump with the best of them on the floor. And then another name, Brooke, obviously the 7-foot shooting big. You need those in this league today.
Hey Kawhi, Justin Russo writes, good to see you. I remember after Game 7 against Denver, you mentioned you were thankful to get through the season healthy and have an off season where you didn't have to worry about rehab or anything like that. Mentally, what has that done for you to come into a year where you didn't spend your off season trying to get back on the floor?
It was great. Like I said, I was able to just move around how I wanted to without like checking in with a doctor or a rehab specialist, and able to just go on the court, do my skill work or go weight train and just lay it freely. I mean, I know it's hard for some people to understand, but it's a lot of aches and pains that you go through with playing in the NBA, and simple as just sitting down and able to just get up with no pain. It just feels great, and like I said, just to go through a summer like that,
I mean, listen to that. Just being able to sit down and get up without pain.
able to just go on the court, do my skill work or go weight train and just live freely. I mean, I know it's hard for some people to understand, but you know, it's a lot of aches and pains that you go through with playing in the NBA, and you know, simply just sitting down and able to just get up with no pain, it just feels great. And like I said, just to go through a summer like that, it was a blessing.
Last one.
So Kawhi, Lon Murray at The Athletic, good to see you, man. Obviously, your name has been a topic of conversation all month. Now you got to get ready to help this team win and focus on the season. How do you approach that? Like, how do you approach that with the guys that you play with Shilu, to say, y'all gonna hear my name a lot, y'all gonna get a lot of questions, like, focus on what needs to be focused on?
I think it's easy. You know, for us, it's nothing to hide. There's no wrongdoing there. So we're just gonna keep going as any other season. My name might pop up, but it is what it is. I've been through times like this before, just going through the year last year with going through the fire. You know, as soon as I came back, that first game, my house and my community caught on fire. So I don't think it's going to be harder than that.
Thank you.
There was Kawhi Leonard earlier today at Media Day with the Clippers. I'm Adam Osland. Welcome back in. It's Clippers Talk. I was about to throw out the number 866-987-2570. No, we aren't taking calls right now, but we can take your comments in the chat. Somebody immediately asking, why didn't you ask about aspiration? Maybe you're new here. I'm not a journalist working for ESPN where my job is to go there and pepper Kawhi like Ramona Shelburne. I work for the Clippers. I've made that very clear. I've been transparent about it since day one. That ain't my job. Ask Kawhi what his goal was heading into this season. Talked about, as usual, trying to win a championship. But last season, he mentioned how just getting out of the season healthy was the goal. So I wanted to see if that had changed a little bit. And it does seem like with everything he's talking about, you know, he was able to get in the type of workouts he was looking for. He was able to do the on-court work that obviously he was limited in last season. And really since 2020, coming out of his first season with the Clippers, first time in a long time, Kawhi is fully healthy, ready to go. Even heading into 23-24, he still had the meniscus surgery. He did participate in training camp in Hawaii that year, but he still was under the knife. Somebody else who went under the knife we found out about was Bradley Beal. Found that out from Lawrence Frank. That happened back in May. He had a scope for inflammation. But Bradley Beal said he's good. He's healthy, quote, ready to rock, minor cleanup. He was playing with inflammation in Phoenix. This wasn't some ACL or meniscus surgery or anything like that. So that's going all the way back to May. So at the end of the season, obviously he was playing through something. You guys saying Kawhi standing on business, said multiple times there was no wrongdoing. None of us did any wrong. Did any wrongdoing. He did mention how it was more than that, the money they owed him or whatever. Some people are making something out of that. Some are making something out of the fact that he wasn't in his Clippers jersey, but he was wearing the hoodie up there. But Kawhi was obviously defiant towards the allegations, and the Clippers were also very adamant and vehement about the fact that they believe there was no wrongdoing, and the NBA will find that when they get the complete picture during this investigation. For every interview that happened today. You can check out the last video in the live section. It's long. It's almost 3 hours. I was live streaming during it at Intuit Dome, where our next guest, I believe, is coming from. Maybe not, but he was there earlier today. That would be G Mona, Grant Mona. Yes, I see it now. He's got the background there. We
Yeah.
can tell he's still at Intuit Dome. Grant Mona from the Sporting Tribune. Grant, thanks so much for jumping back on Clippers Talk. Maybe this is an annual tradition. Post media day.
Yeah. I think it is, Adam. Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me on again. I've upgraded my setup from last year, so we're doing things a little bit more professionally now. But it's really good to see you. It was really good to see you today. Really good to be back at Into a Dome and talking about the Clippers. I know everyone's talking about obviously the Kawhi allegations, but there's still a lot of things to talk about with basketball. But it was really good to see you, and thanks for having me on.
It's always like the first day of school. You get to see your friends again. It's fun. It
Exactly.
was a good time. And the Clippers had a great first class setup there with the way they had things for us with the tables and then the food outside. And I shot that and put a video at Follow Out of May if you guys want to check it out of how it looked, where they were taking some of the pictures that you'll see on the Clippers official accounts. Unfortunately, we do have to start with the same thing that Lawrence Frank did. Just address it off the top. How did you feel about the way the Clippers went about pushing back and welcoming the allegations, or excuse me, welcoming the investigation that's going on after the allegations by Pablo Torre?
Yeah, I think the Clippers had a clear plan here, especially with Lawrence, to jump out in front of things, kind of talk to the media and give their statement before anybody asks anything out of the ordinary. And to me, Adam, and I'm sure a lot of people have differing opinions on this, but they just seemed very stern in their phrasing and their wording. Like Lawrence Frank was to the point, to where usually Lawrence Frank is more candid. I remember after they got Bradley Beal and after they got Chris Paul, it was a jovial Lawrence Frank, and he was outgoing and he was joking with the media. This was more of like, hey, this is what it is. This is how we're going to talk about it. And we're not going to comment on it any further. Now, they did give all of the information up front, and he had a prepared statement, which I think everyone kind of expected at this point. That they're going to have a statement.
It's too important not to have a statement prepared.
Right, exactly, especially for such heightened stakes where there's national media here. I mean, again, we were actually joking about this. In January, none of these media people will be here. They'll be at the Laker games. We're going to be the ones that are here covering the Clippers. But I think there were questions lobbed to Kawhi about the allegations, and just judging by his response, he just wants to play basketball. And I know that we have to get to exactly what the allegations are and let the NBA do their investigating, but the one thing that I will say that everyone was really keyed in on was they just want to hoop. Like James Harden talked about that, Bradley Beal talked about that, Chris Paul talked about it. He's like, all of us just love hoop, and we just want to go out there and play basketball. Now, again, with these allegations on the Clippers, it's going to be hard to do that. Let's just put that out. It's not going to be easy to get around that because every media availability, everything that comes up, they're going to be asked about this, every city they travel in. But I think the main thing that I saw from these guys is that, and Lawrence Frank mentioned this, he actually quoted this. He said, there's no BS in them. Like, these guys understand what's going on, but they also understand, like, hey, this roster is really good and they have a chance to go win a title regardless of the aspiration allegations right now.
Did you make anything, because I saw some people talking about it online, with Kawhi having the hoodie on, maybe over the jersey, or didn't have the jersey on when he was at the podium?
It was funny because 5 minutes before he came in, he was in uniform doing his photo shoots and everything, and we see him walk by the door of the conference room, and he comes back out and he's wearing his branded clothing. So I don't know what to make of that. Like, I literally put nothing into it. I was just expecting answers, but that's what happened.
Some were looking for things. Maybe the clickbaiters and the conspiracy theorists, they were the ones looking for anything.
That's the other thing about Kawhi is that it was just so obvious to me that he wanted zero confrontation, but he was going to get it. Like, that's the thing about this. Like, he should have known that there were going to be questions, multiple questions thrown at him about the situation. And do I really like the way he handled it? Not 100%, but again, like, I don't even know the full
What were you looking
details.
for him to say? How did you want? How did you think it was going to play out?
I just think that he wasn't prepared for multiple questions right at one after the other. Like, I think that he was.
I don't know if anyone knew Ramona was going to hold on to the mic that long.
Exactly. Like, I was just sitting there, I was like, oh my God, there's more. And, Ramona mentioned this to all of us. She's like, ESPN had to make her do, like, she had to do that for her reporting. She's a great reporter. I really respect Ramona, and she had to do that. And it was funny. Funny we mentioned this because I went back to you and I was telling Demetrius Beaver, who works for Infinity TV, who asked him an actual basketball question right after all this, and it seemed like Kawhi was taken back by it. It's like, oh, I got to lock in. Like, yeah, there's basketball, right? I got to talk about the team. So I think again, this is all a tricky situation, not just for us as reporters, Adam, but like for the players too, because none of these guys really have been in a situation like this where this is hanging over them over the course of the season. So we're going to have to see how these guys navigate it. But again, I think Kawhi did it as much as he could. Again, there's not so much that these guys can get into because it's an open investigation. They have to let the NBA do their work.
Yeah, and Kawhi typically isn't the most media savvy guy or the most outspoken guy to begin with. So now talking about allegations like these, I don't know what anybody expected to come out of this. Did you hear the latest from Pablo Torre earlier today, where basically the bombshell or whatever he was trying to drop on Clippers Media Day was that there was another payment from Steve Ballmer late in December to Joe Sandberg's alternate company, and it was for a little over the 1.75 million of installment payments. It was 1.8 something according to Pablo Torre. Did you hear that?
I did see that, and it's funny that he dropped that on Media Day because I think this has just all been planned out. This has all been it's obviously there's a rhyme and reason to all the reporting that Pablo did. Now, Pablo has done a really fantastic job of the reporting. Like, as a journalist, as a content creator, I have to give him credit that the reporting that he's done is very thorough. It's very laid out. But in terms of this new information, I don't think this does much for, it doesn't add on to anything for me. I think this is, the thing I have to say is that the law firm that is investigating this, I'm very sure that they have a lot of this information already, or they're in the process of receiving this by the NBA. Now, does new reporting by Pablo Torre, is that now under a new microscope? Yeah, absolutely. Like, the NBA is going to take a look at this and every bit of information. Like, we had reports from the Boston Sports Journal about the stock options that he got, right? And we've gotten it from multiple different sources, and we've gotten what the endorsement asks were by Dennis Robertson, Uncle Dennis, from the Lakers in 2019 or from the Clippers in 2019. So we're getting it from a bunch of different sources. And for me, it's initially it was easy to track because I was looking at the allegations, I was looking at what came up. Now, when you have all these tentacles, right, there's multiple sources involved, The Athletic reporting this, Pablo Torre reporting that, Boston Sports Journal reporting certain things. It's hard to consolidate it into one. And I think that's why, a lot of people, Adam, this, like, a lot of people are like pushing against reporters and saying like, oh, why haven't you spoken up about this? Like, we're kind of just like, dude, it's a lot to take in. I've said my thoughts, this. I'm active on social media. I've talked about this at length, but it's such a whirlwind because after August, we had the awesome CP3 return presser and vibes were incredibly high. And then in early September, this stuff drops. And you have to kind of reshift your focus. You have to reshift the way you look at the team, the way you approach these questions, the way you feel about, again, the roster is separate. But when you talk about the Clippers, now you have to have this in the back of your mind. Like, there's something hanging over this team that's, again, probably not going to be resolved until after the All-Star break. But we still have to keep that in mind when we're talking about the Clippers and when Kawhi comes to the podium and when Lawrence Frank does speak to the media. So it's been just a lot of different things, and I've just deferred. At some point, I think after like the third or fourth report, I was just like, I'm going to let the NBA do their job, and I'm going to comment on it after that because, again, there's only like anything I say right now, Adam, you know this. Anything that's said about the Clippers right now, they could have like a 15-1 start, but everyone's going to be like, oh, well, it's because they're cheating. It's because the aspiration. It's because, well, what about Kawhi's trees? It's like, all right, man, how are we going to? So it's going to.
They're going to try to discredit anything they do right
anything.
now.
Anything that the Clippers. I mean, I saw this today. You know, I posted a lot of stuff, and I appreciate everyone for supporting all my content, but it was just in the comments. It was like, oh, what about the trees? What about aspiration? I was like, I'm not even talking about that. I posted something about Zoo and Brooke Lopez, and it's like getting comments about aspiration. So my main point here, and I know I've been going on for a little bit long here, is that this is going to hang over the team, and it's good that they have a seasoned team. They didn't want to use older; they use seasoned to kind of deal with it because they have guys that have been through it for multiple years, even decades, like Chris Paul.
Yeah, I think they have, obviously, with an older team, with all the veterans they have, guys who have been there and done that, they're going to have a tunnel vision or a focus with blinders on, where basketball is going to be their sanctuary on the court. And I think at some point, as we get further and further away, depending on how much more slow dripping Pablo does with his reporting, we are going to start to see the story fade into the background, and basketball become the forefront here. But just for clarity's sake here, the allegation from earlier today I was alluding to was $1.87 million that Steve Ballmer gave in December of 2024, according to Pablo Torre, to Joe Sandberg's Golden State Opportunity Foundation. And what he's inferring is he had a relationship going back to 2018 with Sandberg. So he's trying to make more of a connection with him and also show that basically long after we knew that the company was going under and was under investigation, why is Steve Ballmer still contributing and investing money? And they are implying that this $1.875 million was for another Kawhi installment of 1.75 of the 4 quarterly payments to reach $7 million per year. Yes, that was new today. Just want to touch upon that quickly here because I would have done a show probably just on that if it wasn't media day. I think it was at least relevant enough to discuss. But let's go into basketball now because there were a couple of guys that didn't get a proper introductory presser that we finally got to talk to today. And John Collins, to me, came across as so gregarious and just had this vibe and energy about him. Like, what a locker room guy. What a perfect guy. You know, they lost Mr. Vibes and Patty Mills last season, who was great for them. I feel like John Collins, who could be likely is going to be a starter with this team, he's really going to be a glue guy in some ways. It just seems like he is just on fire, ready to go for this team, and just is a joy to listen to because he seems genuinely excited about this season.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, when we talked about John Collins, that was the most talked about offseason move before all of the allegations came out. People were very excited about John Collins and the fact that you're getting an athletic 4, finally a power forward to move Kawhi back to the 3 in theory, have a small ball 5 that can stretch the floor. Right, John Collins is an excellent three-point shooter. It's funny, as he was... Wow, I got the lights turned off on me. Look at it. Hold on, let me do something, Adam, here. Hold on, let me do something. Should I move around?
You think it's
can
a
still
motion
hear me.
sensor?
You can still hear me, so we'll
You
just...
still sound good.
Let me just talk into this, and we'll figure it out. So... John Collins was this guy, he was walking out, and Law Murray asked him, how's the hand feeling? And he goes, well, I only need 4 to shoot. I don't need 5. So... Listen, this guy seems like he's really on top of it. He gave a lot of respect to James Harden. He gave a lot of respect to Chris Paul. He's very excited about the prospect of catching lobs from those guys. And it was, you're right, like there was a certain aspect of this where it was like, I didn't know John Collins had this personality. I knew he was a great athletic player, but I didn't know he was this outgoing and introspective, and he was getting into a lot of the different, like being very respectful to Zoo, too. As he was walking out, guys, I don't even know if anyone put this out there, but he was just, all he could say was, Big Zoo, Big Zoo. That's a cold nickname. That's all he could say. He loved saying Zoo. So that 4-5 pairing, I think, is going to be really cool. And as I'm in the dark here, I know it's Clippers after dark. Like, it actually makes a lot of sense that I'm in the dark right now. But as I'm in the, hey, look, I'm back. They turned on the lights for me.
The heavenly lights of Into a Dome back on Grant Mona.
As I'm back, sorry about that. But as I'm back, I think you're right. He was the biggest surprise to me in terms of personality. Again, you're going to have guys like Chris Dunn. You're going to have guys like Derrick Jones Jr. I mean, those guys were really good friends last year anyways, and they had some funny moments. But now adding John Collins in there, and I was talking to Tomer Zarli of Clutch Points, I was like, adding Brooke Lopez into this too, like that's a guy that's very candid and outgoing. The Clippers are going to have some characters on this team. And sure, we can talk about the fit. We can talk about like the chemistry and the rotations, but the group that they brought in, I think, is really crucial. And Adam, you know this. They talked about this. Like, everyone knows their roles. Lawrence Frank mentioned that at his opening presser. Like, everyone has a buy-in this year. Everyone knows what their role is going to be. When they brought Chris Paul in, they told him, this is your role, and if you want it, it's yours. If not, like, best of luck. And he took that role. He knows now what he can bring to the Clippers. And John Collins, I think, is going to be so fun to watch, guys. Like, I talked about Derrick Jones Jr. and his connection to, like, Blake Griffin. Like, he's the highest flying act they've had since Blake Griffin. Now you're going to have DJ and you're going to have John Collins. So it's going to be really fun at Into a Dome. And he said that Into a Dome. Yeah, exactly. Bounce. I should have asked him about that, but
I had my hand up. I didn't get to it. I wanted to.
But he said, like, Into a Dome, it feeds his inner child. That's kind of what he said. Like, the way everything is built out, it's like a basketball amusement park, and he said it's going to feed his inner. There's like a joy and energy that he felt as soon as he came to LA, being in a winning scenario for the first time since he played with Trae Young in Atlanta. Adam,
he's going to be really talkative and good with you guys in the locker room post game. on big games, on big nights. Like, that's going to be fun. I really liked his attitude, and just, he was a breath of fresh air in there. Bradley Beal as well. Bradley Beal was very talkative. He was asked about Phoenix, why things went south, talked about how it's just business. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but he had that scope on his right knee back in May. It was just inflammation. He's ready to rock and roll. He's good to go here. But he also made it known, Grant, that he's ready and willing to do whatever it takes with this particular team. And I think that level of buy-in that we talk about, that was exemplified by Bradley Beal and the stuff he said today. Now, actions have to be taken, of course, but it's nice to know that he is going into this situation with his eyes wide open, knowing what the Clippers are asking of him.
Exactly, and that's kind of the thing I took from Bradley, is that he understands the situation. He understands that Phoenix bought him out and that he's on a minimum contract, essentially minimum contract, but he's still getting paid by Phoenix. But he understands that, and he talked about this too at length. He was talking about how he's been in situations with other stars before. He's been in a situation where he has another point guard. Like, he played with Russell Westbrook. He played with John Wall. He's now playing with James Harden. But he talked about it's a different role now because he has all of this offense around him. Now, does that mean he's not going to be an offensive player? No, but he talked about, I don't have to be that Washington Wizards version of myself where I have to score 35 a game. Again, I think Clipper fans are hoping that he does, but his point was that it's in this role, it's about sacrifice, right? And I think he actually mentioned that. He said it wasn't an easy decision. This in particular stuck out a lot, like why he signed with the Clippers. One, who Steve Ballmer is, how he operates, and what he stands for. And he said their pitch was just better. And that is also a big part of this, is that he had other options. The fact that he chose the Clippers, that says a lot. And I know this is before all the allegations and stuff, but the fact that he wanted to come play with Kawhi, the fact that he wanted to play with James Harden, to be a part of this, and as hungry and as thirsty, that's what Lawrence Frank said, these guys are hungry and thirsty. Usually don't hear thirsty, but he said these guys are hungry and thirsty. But as hungry and thirsty as these guys are, I think that's a perfect mesh. You have two guys in Brook Lopez and Kawhi Leonard that have won championships. But you have guys in Bradley Beal, James Harden, Chris Paul, like plenty of players across the roster that have not won titles. And you have to have that hunger, especially in a deep Western Conference where there is a gauntlet you have to go through. But this roster, with the talent that they have, I think Bradley Beal could be a very big X factor. Does that mean he's going to be an all-star, like match the production that we saw from Norman Powell? Probably not. But if he can be a really good floor spacer, get near 40% from three, he's not going to average the 24-25 that we saw from Norm Powell in spurts over the course of the season. But
Norm wouldn't have if he started the year playing next to Kawhi either.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, you take Kawhi out of it for half the season, and that's why Norman Powell's numbers were like that. That's no disrespect to Norm. That's just how it was. So Brad in that 2 spot with John Collins at the 4. Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't that sound like they addressed all of their weaknesses from last season? A backup 5 in Brook, a really good 2 in Bradley Beal, who said JVG has been on his ass, which is actually really good to hear. But having that with John Collins at the 4, a great rebounder, doesn't that sound like a team that addressed every weakness they had coming out of Game 7 last year?
No, I think the only thing, and there's not a lot you can do about this when you consider the price they were able to get these guys at, the only thing they couldn't fully address is age. There's not a lot you can do about that. Some of these guys in-house are getting older, and some of the guys they brought in CP3 and Brook Lopez are on the older side, but they're also best available. Getting younger is great. Getting better is better. And this Clippers team is definitely much better with the guys they brought in and the guys who they're replacing. And it's no disrespect to some of those guys that started on this team last year, and there was a big kind of shift in roster makeover midway through the season. But this team is more fully loaded. And as you mentioned, in some of those areas where they were devoid of this or that, they shored them up. And I think, it all is depending on health. And we hear that about Bradley Beal and people thinking that's a red flag now. He had knee surgery, but we knew going in, he played 53 games each of the last 2 seasons for the Phoenix Suns. There's going to be games where he's out. There's going to be games where Kawhi Leonard's out. James Harden, I think Coach Lou mentioned he wants him to play less, or he would like him to play less. He's probably not playing 79 this year, but, you got CP3 then. So in limited time or limited action, he comes in and starts a few games. They have enough guys to pick up the slack that even though they're on the older side, you're hoping you just have this revolving door of guys staying fresh and tagging in when they need to and keeping their teammates healthy. That's the hope, and we'll see. But this roster is definitely talented enough to compete with the best.
Yeah, and that's something that I asked. Who did I ask about this? I asked somebody about. I think I might have asked Ty Lue about Zoo and the pairing of Zoo and Brook Lopez and what Brook can bring out of Zoo. And I think that, Ty said that Zoo doesn't want to play less, but they're going to kind of maybe force that because of the pairing of him and Brook Lopez. Like, Brook Lopez is going to be the backup 5. We know that. But having a guy that can spread the floor, that is a very good rim protector still at his age, the fact that they can go to him and let Zoo rest a little bit. Now, I didn't see any fatigue factor from Zoo a lot. Now, maybe guarding Jokic over the course of a 7-game series, that would have done it. But Zoo's never going to be the one to back down from playing more. He wants to play a lot. But when I asked Ty Lue about it, I said, he said, will we see both of them together? Yeah, probably. But the main objective was to get Zoo off of his legs a little bit more. And a lot of fans were kind of like, do we want that? Don't we want Zoo playing more? We don't want him playing less. And I don't think that's what they were going for, but I think it's the fact that the depth of this team, Adam, now allows them to do that. We saw in multiple series last year in the playoffs, what having thin depth can do. The Lakers played an entire lineup for the entire second half in the first round last year because they didn't trust anyone in the second unit. Now, if you guys go to any depth chart for the Clippers, you're going to see a player in the third tier of that depth chart that should be in the second unit or should be a prominent part of their rotation. And it's not that it's too stacked or like there's not going to be enough playing time for everyone. It's just that in the case of something happening, in the event that a guy does need a break, if Zoo does need a day off, we know how bad the Clippers were without Zoo. Like, Zoo is an important piece of the Clippers. Having Brook there and having Brad and having Chris Dunn and having CP and having Bogdan Bogdanovic when he recovers from that hamstring, just having that's important. And again, we've seen depth from this Clippers team over the years. Like 22-23 team had a lot of depth. Everyone coming in was like, oh, this team's most stacked Clippers team they've ever had. And it was hard to find roles. Like, guys didn't know their roles. They didn't know how much they were playing. That's why it was so important that when they added this depth in the offseason, the front office was like, hey, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to be for us. And if you don't want it, we're not going to sign you. But this is why we're going to sign you. This is why we're going to trade for you. So I think that's a clear distinction between this team's depth and the depth that other teams like, say, 2020 and 2023 have had.
Yeah, I think there's obviously more clearly defined roles, and the Clippers learned from those mistakes in the past. And the way I look at it is, sure, Ivica Zubac could play more minutes than he did last season, but if he plays a minute or two less, do you get a better version of Ivica Zubac more consistently, where it's like the turbo button in NBA Jam? It's not pressed down as much. There's still more in the reserve tank or more fuel or more of the power meter left, because a guy that's going to be out there replacing him was also playing 30 minutes per night last season in Brook Lopez. Even at this advanced age, he's fine. This is the first time he's ever coming off the bench. So I think you're going to get guys that are more primed and optimized to be at their best when they're out there on the court, because they're not having to be overtaxed, and that could make this team very scary. He is Grant Mona. Lights out analysis as always. Grant, let everybody know where they can find you. I'm guessing you got something coming up later tonight, maybe with the Sporting Tribune?
I do. We're going to be doing a live stream here on X, on YouTube, wherever you guys are watching content. I'm across every social media. I'm on TikTok making some clips at Money Mo Media TV. I'm on YouTube at the same. But for the Sporting Tribune, yeah, we do a live show every night. All LA sports. We talk about the Rams, the Chargers, USC football. We talk about all of it, along with the Clippers, along with the Lakers. So I'm very excited for this upcoming season. I really appreciate everyone that's supported me, that's in here, if you do support me. But I'm at GMona48 here on X, on YouTube, wherever. So I really appreciate you, Adam, for having me on. I know this won't be the last time, but it's really good to see you again 1 year from Media Day in 2024, where I was just getting started, and now, I'm doing a whole bunch of different stuff around the Clippers. So it's I just really, really appreciate you having me on, and I can't wait for the season.
You look good in 4K. You sound good in the THX or whatever you're using with the Pioneers over there. You sound great. You look good. Feel good. Play good. Report good. That's Grant Mona. Good. G Money, does that stand for good money, or is that Grant Money? Okay. G Money is
some baseball players from when I played baseball were like, oh, Money Mona, because I was like good with my glove. Like I was a good middle infielder. So that's where that came from. I don't know.
Okay. Flash in the leather. Grant, thanks so much for doing this here on Clippers Talk. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right. Appreciate you, Adam. Have a good one.
Be good. There goes Grant Mona. Coming up, we have another guest that will be joining the show here. Just threw this together. Grant Mona is one of the best guys. Please check him out, G Mona, on all social media platforms. I really like the technical specs he's working with now. Speaking of specs, the guy wearing them here is just getting done with his midday snack. He's a snack. It's Chuck on Clippers Talk, wearing his Dolphins jersey or something. What is that? Yeah.
Let's go, baby. 0-3. The march to 0-4 continues tonight.
I got the Jets +3. Your Dolphins can win, but can they just not win by more than 3?
No, trust me. If they win, I don't think it'll be by more than 3. So I think
Charles, how are you?
good, man. I'm so happy it was media day. I know obviously there was the stuff that they asked about, but I'm just happy that Clippers basketball is closer to being back. Seeing CP3 in the jersey had me fired up. Like, it feels more real now. We know that the basketball season is coming, but like, damn, media day always fires me up a bit.
What struck you, I guess, when it pertains or when it comes to the allegations and how the Clippers handled it, what Lawrence Frank said in his statement or what Kawhi Leonard said answering those questions as he was being peppered by Ramona Shelburne? Did anything stand out to you?
I mean, not really. I guess I was surprised that Kawhi was a little more, he just said no more outright than I thought he might have. I thought he would maybe go full, just like, I can't talk about it. We'll let it play out. So I guess from that perspective, I was a little surprised. He wasn't exactly candid, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was more than I expected. I'm happy he didn't get asked about it more, I guess. It doesn't seem like there was anything people could make of what was said from Lawrence Frank or Kawhi, which is really all I was hoping, because I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I thought they handled it well and how they expected to, right? We talked about it on the pod last week. Like, Lawrence Frank isn't going to come out there and pound the table and defend what the Clippers did. He's going to let the investigation happen. If they get punished, they get punished.
He said, we're eager for the truth to come out. They both were pretty adamant that, like, Kawhi said there's no wrongdoing. So I agree with you. They didn't make headlines for the wrong reasons or throw more red meat out there necessarily, even though I'm sure Pablo won't like his journalism and reporting being called clickbaity or whatever Kawhi said about that.
That was
conspiracy theories.
That was funny too, but also that's like such a Kawhi thing for him to say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Kawhi goes on the internet. Like, James Harden doesn't even have the internet. But
Kawhi is perpetually off the grid.
Yeah, he doesn't. I'm sure. I mean, Pablo obviously dropped something today, but I don't know. We got Mark Cuban. We have Mark Cuban as the main shooter for the Clippers right now. So
is he going on? Is there going to be a sequel? I haven't seen the latest between them two.
I'm sure
battling on X.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if we want it to continue between him and Mark Cuban. That feels very much like a pissing contest, or you know, it's just two guys that are so dug into their position. Neither one wants to be wrong, and it's gotten personal. That's what it feels like.
It feels a little more personal. But thankfully, like, you know, Pablo wasn't there today. There was like some rumor going around that he was maybe going to be at media day, but I didn't see anything of that. I'm sure it would have been put out on Twitter or something. Yeah, you didn't see him. What did you think of? Everything was pretty encouraging. I thought it was awesome that Harden had that mini camp. What did you think of the Zoo stuff? The quote specifically. I mean, he did lose 10 pounds, which I'm interested to see how that affects everything. But
I was gonna say, if Zoo came up there, it was after I left, and I heard he wasn't coming up to the podium. Did he make it to the podium?
This was just the quote from Ty Lue about not running Zoo into the ground.
Yeah.
And believing that Zoo played too many minutes last season. That is the only thing that made me be like,
I honestly, I kind of feel the same way. Not necessarily he played too many minutes, but if you have Brook Lopez, there is no reason to push Ivica Zubac too far until it's playoff time.
Yeah,
so why not let him have more in the tank for if you run into Jokic again, or any of these bigger teams at the top of the Western Conference, where you're definitely going to need him to play like 37 minutes a night as he did in that first round series. Because you think about that, you know, that was just the first round. Had they gotten out of it, how many minutes is he playing against OKC or another team? Like, you do need – he's become one of the top 3 most important players on this team. So I think as much as we talk about other guys, and they're older, granted, Ivica Zubac is in his prime, but when you're playing the center position and there's more physicality out there, it's more taxing during the regular season. It's like goalies and catchers, like anytime you give them a chance to get a little bit more rest, that could pay off down the line. So I kind of see where he's coming from there. I didn't feel like there was alarm bells sounding.
I see where he's coming from. And we've also just had, up until this season, since Isaiah Hartenstein, pretty terrible backup centers. Like guys who couldn't even give him a normal amount of rest, right? Like we were having to do a bunch of, 5-out stuff that didn't really work. So I guess I was just like, too many minutes. That freaked me out. But then I remembered our convo about the usage. If his usage rate in those fewer minutes is close to what it was last year, which was almost 20%, I don't think it'll be that high. If his usage rate still hovers around that same amount, I can't be that mad, right? Because that means he's still getting touches. He's still doing what the Clippers should do sometimes, as you've talked about a lot, which is just give Zoo the ball, have him put in some work down low. We know he can do it. I'll be looking at the usage rate. And I'm not sure how this 10-pound weight loss affects someone who weighs as much as Zoo. No disrespect to Zoo, but he's a big guy. So I'm like 10 pounds to Zoo doesn't feel like a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Again, no disrespect. I just don't know what it'll do. Maybe he'll have higher dunks. That'd be fun.
Be a little bit lighter on his feet, maybe moving on the perimeter when he has to guard out there. Nothing wrong with that, because it's not like Ivica Zubac is the most toned or shredded guy. He could lose 10 pounds and still be fine, and I don't think it would affect him. Like it's all upside. I don't think it would affect him negatively.
He's listed at 240.
Yeah, that's always been a little bit weird to me. He looks more like 260, 270.
Yeah, Bogdan's listed at 220. And I guess I would think that Zoo is 20 pounds heavier than Bogdan. Right?
Is that still from his rookie year?
Maybe.
240?
Yeah.
Is that where that measurement's coming from?
Probably. It's on Basketball Reference. Because, I think of him as, closer to 265 or something like that.
I wonder if this factors in to what Coach Lou was talking about at all. But as reliable as Ivica Zubac has been and the Iron Man he has been for this team, there can be a downside to that where you could age a little bit more quickly because you've played more games and there's more tread off the tires. So if you want to extend his shelf life in his prime that he's, theoretically just entering, I don't think it's a bad thing to have Ivica Zubac not have to be pushed to the limit during the regular season as much.
Yeah, he's at 584 games played in his 9 years.
And we're talking 80 games, 68, 76, 76. Like you don't see that very much anymore, that level of consistency. And especially from big men. Big men tend to age more quickly. It's not just Shaq getting bigger and too big for his own good. It's that pounding they put on their lower body, their knees, their feet. So I don't hate that, because big men usually, like, their prime could be over at 33, or you could see a real steep drop off around that time. That does happen. So why not do the best you can to keep Zoo playing at a higher level for longer?
And we have seen, since 2024, really only 2024, injuries pop up that keep him out for a little bit, right? Like
the calf injury stuff was concerning too.
Yeah, the calf is obviously something you don't want to play with that.
No.
So, yeah, and if that was the biggest thing that made me go at media day, it's a win, right? Like there wasn't anything weird.
What did you think of the Bradley Beal hearing that he had a scope in May? Anything?
I guess I was like,
it said minor cleanup. So
we're an old team, and so I think there's going to be scopes and minor cleanups for how this team is constructed. This team is the all scope minor cleanup team of the season, right? Like how many guys have had that happen? Probably. So I was a little surprised, but not incredibly worried. Like everyone other than Bogdan seems to be a full go, like in terms of participation for training camp. Bogdan will be there. They're going to monitor his injury. I thought we kind of got good news about that too, just that he's going to be there participating. That's kind of the first thing. we got on Bogdan. But for Beal, I'm like, kind of to be expected. It's the unction or whatever people are saying this year. Like, there's going to be scopes, there's going to be cleanups, there's going to be rest nights. Just getting us used to it before it starts.
It's going to be a leave.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of a leave. Yeah, maybe that should be the jersey patch this year, or bear or something like that. But I don't know. Were you overtly concerned or anything?
No, it happened in May.
Right.
He says he's ready to rock. So no, I thought there was an interesting quote in talking about the buy-in level commitment you need from a team with a lot of veterans and a lot of guys that could be playing. And it came from Lawrence Frank with this metaphor of it's easier to fix a leaky roof in the sunshine than it is in the rain. Talking about when things go bad, then what's your level of buy-in? If you're not getting those minutes now, are you still, playing with the right amount of joy and sacrifice out there? Because that is going to be one of the bigger issues for this team when healthy, at least.
Yeah, we kind of heard that, they asked James Harden about the Chris Paul thing and that the animosity or whatever. Yeah, you are they. And he said they've kept in contact. They put all aside, and we heard a lot of the team speak that you hear on media days, but it's still nice to hear it, right? Of we have one goal. Like, I think they referenced a couple times, like, where we at in our careers. Like, they know that they're an older team that has guys that should, in their eyes and a lot of fans' eyes, have a championship, right? Like, already at this point. So
yeah,
the desperation of old age, I think, will help the Clippers overall this season. The guys just being like, this is it. Like, if I can make something happen, like, it'd be a pretty damn good championship to win. The Clippers, their first championship, and your first championship.
The age of the team is staring them in the face. Literally, it's like, oh, we're old. How you look around? Oh,
we're very old.
We gotta get this done now.
Yeah, we have to get this done. But yeah, and I like that. That was a great question too, just to be like, because people are, the way that NBA fandom is the most gossipy of any of the four major sports. So I think that was a good thing to clear up. And like I said, I love hearing that Harden had the mini camp, right? Like, we heard a lot about that his first year. But yeah, it's just awesome to hear new guys saying they were part of the mini camp, talking about who's going to take the oops and whatnot. Like, Harden, again, just displaying his leadership to help keep things even keel for the regular season.
Yeah. That mini camp in Arizona, cool to hear about that. Trying to see what else. Bradley Beal actually mentioned his hope is to finish his career with the Clippers.
Man, anytime someone gets signed to a team, I think they say that. So
that's just part of the
that would be cool.
Talking points.
Yeah, unless you're Giannis right now, I guess, which is also interesting.
He did mention their pitch was better to him than anybody else. That was aligned with what he was looking for. And he was asked about what's going to be expected defensively. And that's obviously a big thing, especially if they're going with the anticipated lineup of him and John Collins in the starting lineup. That means, yes, he's likely going to be your number one point of attack defender. He referenced doing it in Phoenix some, but he's willing to do whatever it takes. Now, again, that's easier when there isn't a leaky roof with the sunshine and the ceiling is the roof. That analogy, like when times are good, it's easier to get out there and fight on the perimeter and play great defense. But I do expect him to come out of the gates, and he said Jeff Van Gundy has been on his ass, and to be playing really hard in that area.
I mean, we know that an underrated thing about this upcoming season is just the comfortability the Clippers defense is going to have after a full season in Van Gundy's system. I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I have no doubt that Van Gundy has some tape that he's, watching of Bradley Beal and relaying the message. I know that Ty Lue is going to get memed by saying that he was the elite defender he's been in the past. But if you don't think people are going to say things like that on media day, I don't know what sport you have been following. They're going to gas guys up. You mentioned that Beal was like, I was comfortable with everything. That obviously means the role. There's no way they didn't talk about that he was going to have to do some of this more defending, when they made their pitch and whatnot. Like, it's pretty explicit.
It was cool that he said, I don't know if it was his AAU team or his youth team that I guess he coaches, or during the summer, he said, this is something that I preach to them. So I have to say it to myself as well. There's more than one way to impact a game. It's not just about scoring. I can score the ball at the best, but I can also guard. And Jeff Van Gundy has been on my ass.
Man, I can't wait to see us in year 2 of the Van Gundy system. They should have had
That's a
him
good
speak
point.
at Media Day. Media Day just should have been Van Gundy for an hour, just open mic style.
Bradley Beal also said I'd be lying if I didn't have my best years with an elite point guard, and he's back to that now instead of being asked at times to play point guard in Phoenix. You know, he's back to having a John Wall type point guard, and even a guy who's ahead of him, obviously, all time. He's never played with anyone like James Harden.
Yeah, that pairing offensively, the pick and roll and Zoo coming out of the short roll now, he has more options to find guys who can, cash in from 3. No disrespect to Chris Dunn, but teams weren't worried about him getting the pass off the short roll from Zoo last year. And now every other guy on the court who's not involved with the pick and roll is a good shooter for the Clippers starting 5. And on that second unit, that's going to be interesting to see shake out too, because if Beal's out there with the second unit, I assume he'll be running a little bit of point, or like him and Chris Paul. Like, it's a nice. Beal has much more, like you were saying, like seemingly a set role offensively with the Clippers personnel on paper as of the 29th of September.
And Coach Lou talked about his versatility, saying Brad can run pick and roll, catch and shoot, great cutter, can pass the ball and make plays for others when they run pick and roll. So he can use them in a lot of different ways. And I think the good news is, for somebody who is known and had multiple years of being a great scorer and scoring over 30 points a game, sometimes that shift or adjustment later in your career to scoring less can be aided just by the fact that you're still involved. And there's other ways to involve him that don't have to do with scoring, but he's still going to be an integral part of the offense regardless.
Yeah, I think it was 213 Hoops put out a piece about how Beal is great when he forces the defense to make decisions, because he usually makes the right decision in that scenario. He can see what the defense is doing and then kind of pivot. So yeah, him being a connector, or something like that, like they're going to find ways to get involved. I mean, they also have to, right? Like, we don't want a disgruntled anybody on the team. And Beal, with whatever the hell happened in Phoenix last year, I wouldn't hold it against him if he's a little more cagey in terms of how he wants maybe things to go this year, role-wise. But we've heard all the good stuff. They said they've hashed out what the role is going to be. So, I'm still optimistic about this team. I feel pretty good about things, having not seen anyone play basketball in months.
Seemed like John Collins was feeling pretty good up there. Like, there was so much happiness and kind of wonder about what it could be like playing for a franchise like this and being a Clipper and having that athleticism that has been sorely needed. And he was asked about the fans pining over him for some time and hoping he'd be a Clipper. And he knows he can really fill a void. Like, this is exactly kind of what you wanted, but I didn't know about his personality. It seems like he's got big personality, charismatic, and is going to be a great fit in the locker room.
Yeah, it was funny because when he got signed, I know there were some Clippers fans who were like, he hasn't posted anything. Like, there was like one picture of him being like at a gym or something like that. But yeah, hearing him speak today, I was like, oh, I would have kind of assumed, and I think it's just because Kawhi's on the team, that if you're not posting on social or anything like that, you're kind of a quieter guy. But no, man, he was great on the mic. Like, I think it was, what did he say? He's like, he's excited to not be guarded by Kawhi anymore. Which is really funny, which I'm sure a lot of people who've gone against Kawhi and then maybe on the Clippers now feel. But yeah, I was hyped on that. He's really happy to be here. It's not as big of a spotlight as the team that still plays at Staples. So, like, I think this is a perfect environment for him to kind of, thrive in, obviously, with his play. And then, is this a contract year?
It is. This was his player opt-in year.
Yeah, so, like, he has a lot of motivation to he could become a fan favorite, which he seems like a guy who would like to do that. And B, if you play well enough, you get another big contract. It's like I like where he's at, motivation wise, what he was saying at media day, and just like it feels like he's been part of the team for so long because, like you said, fans have been wanting him to be a Clipper forever. But his demeanor at the media day was awesome. It's like, okay, he feels comfortable. Like, this is a place where new guys can come in who are probably starting, and will play some backup five, and can feel comfortable and feel like they have an opportunity to take advantage of being in a contract year, and knowing that the coaching staff's going to put them in the right spot to do that.
You know what I like to say? JC saves. John Collins, they're calling him JC. Let's go.
Damn. All right.
CP
Yeah.
No pressure. CP3 also back at the podium, of course, got the big reintroduction press conference a few months ago. But it was funny to hear him say that, it's not always so much about him teaching the young guys. He can learn from them. You can teach an old dog new tricks. And because guys go at him in practice thinking, oh, he's older, we can compete now against him, that keeps you sharper. I really like that mentality.
Yeah, there is no one in the current NBA, I think, who is probably more annoying to play against in practice than maybe older Chris Paul, right? Like he always played with a chip on his shoulder. He's always been one of the smartest players in the league and competitive. Like he brings a good fire. Legacy stuff aside, which is obviously huge. You don't want to let a team legend down or something like that. But the competitive fire, right? Like we loved it when Pat Bev was here. He was kind of the de facto like vibe setter for the team. Now we have a guy who plays obviously a much different style of basketball, but he can organize stuff. He's going to have guys wanting to go at him in practice, and hopefully he teaches some of the younger Clips some new stuff because they don't exactly look incredibly NBA ready yet, but they do have an older guy to learn from, which is nice. So I'm hyped, man. Again, seeing him in the jersey, it was like, oh yeah, like this is going to be rad.
He also mentioned how he still doesn't know when it will set in that he's back.
Yeah.
It's almost a process, or there's phases to this as you go along. Maybe it'll take a few nights, at Intuit Dome. It took me a while last year just to get used to that. So,
yeah, true.
It's not just he's back. He's no longer playing on his old home court back at Staples Center. So there's a lot of adjusting going on. He did mention, kind of echoing what we were talking about earlier with that conversation about the task at hand and having so many vets. He said there's not a lot of talking with this many vets. We know what we have to do. So pecking order, minutes, sacrifice, all that stuff you would hope is just worked out because you have so many guys that are all pointed in the same direction in that locker room,
Yes. Shared goal, shared trajectory, coming from one of, I'm assuming, the kind of de facto captains of the team, right? Like franchise legend, like he holds weight. Like it's real. I unfortunately have to go watch the Dolphins.
Not bad. Are they kicking off? I got to watch too.
Or 15.
No, I'm not actually betting on them, but we do this thing on Fox Sports Radio, 2 on, 2 off. I got to pick 2 favorites, 2 underdogs, and I happen to pick the Jets +3 against the Dolphins.
Godspeed. Thank you for having me on. Everyone be nice to Adam in the chat. And we'll be back with an episode of Clips and Dip, I think, on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
True.
Chuck, appreciate you.
Thank you. Let's go Clips.
There goes Chuck Mockler. I think I'm leaving here too, guys, because I don't know what else we got to talk about. The entire media day is recorded in the live section for you. Yes, you'll have to skip ahead as there's a lot of downtime in between guys being at the podium. But overall, positive day for me. Got to hang out with Brian Seaman, Jim Jackson, Carlo Jimenez. I got to see my friends again. Coach Mike Fratello. Like it's always a big day, and it's the unofficial start of the NBA season for those of us in the media and the broadcasting side of it. So aside from everything else going on with the NBA investigation, yes, I can still find the positives since Chuck didn't stay long enough to ask me, what's the one positive takeaway today? Okay, that's a Clips and Dip feature. But I just want to say that, and it was good to be back here on Clippers Talk with you guys. I wasn't even sure if that was going to work earlier with streaming the entire thing, but the Clippers had first class setup. It was beautifully done. Glad to be a part of it, and an interesting day to say the least, and just kind of up and down, just like the season can be at times. But I think there's going to be a lot more ups with this Clippers team. All right. I'm Adam Oslin. Training camp opens tomorrow. We'll have practice audio, and we'll see. Maybe I'll do a show tomorrow too, depending on what comes out. Zubas didn't speak today. A lot of guys didn't. DJ, Dunn, Brooke Lopez. So there's still more guys to be interviewed. And if there's anything of note, I will be back here on Clippers Talk. And if you missed any of the interviews from earlier today at Media Day, check it out in the live section. I'm Adam Oslin. You've been listening to Clippers Talk.